Hey, welcome everybody to the UGASports Live podcast. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Dayne Young and Jim Donnan, the former Georgia Bulldogs head football coach, the Hall of Famer, the star of the show, the main attraction, the number one guy in your hearts, the guy who just got back from visiting the family out west. And so we're glad to have Coach back in town. It's where he can join us on the show. It means a lot to us. And, of course, we're joined by you, our viewers, our loyal viewers, and we want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and hope you have a wonderful New Year. We hope you have a great New Year's Eve. On New Year's Eve, Georgia will be facing Michigan in the college football playoffs, and we're going to talk about that a lot today. As part of that discussion, we will, of course, talk about quarterbacks and game plans and all that fun stuff. So if you have a question, get your question into the chat area there. I'm coming to you live from Classic City Eats in Watkinsville, one of my favorite places. They've been a sponsor of our show since we started. And if you were looking for a place to come grab a quick bite while, come watch the game on Friday night or come enjoy a respite from the holiday feasting, all the stuff going on with the family, just want to get out and not have to cook or not eat leftovers, swing by Classic City Eats. They'll take care of you. And, of course, we want to give a shout out to our other sponsors as well, Academia Brewing Company, Europie, Dead Soxy, and, of course, our folks over at Athens Ford who will be sponsoring the watch-along show that we will have this Friday night with Coach and Dayne and myself. So be sure to tune into that coming up. Part of the festivities that go along with a bowl game like this is there a chance to speak to the offensive and defensive coordinators. Kirby normally does not make those guys available throughout the season. He does all the talking and lets us talk to players. And we spoke to some players today. But yesterday we got Dan Lanning, the defensive coordinator, and today we got Todd Monken. I think the Lanning stuff is kind of interesting, but more interesting to me is the Todd Monken stuff because getting the chance to pepper Todd Monken about his offense, he took a lot of questions and he soldiered through, did a great job, I thought. I just want to get Coach Donna's take on the Todd Monken press conference and your overall impressions of how he handled the grilling.
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is, in a preface to this, is just the fact that people on our site really pay for information and they like to know what's going on. And I'm not one to give them much except my ideas, but you deserve a lot of credit for, being out on a limb, so to speak, as far as having an opinion that was contrary to most people about Stetson and what everybody thought and all these ideas, which is okay. That's part. Everybody needs an opinion. But I think the fact that both of you were so consistent in your appraisal of the situation and comparing the facts, and I think, to me, you deserve a lot of credit for that. And that's why people should maybe listen to you a little more in the future, because you're basing on fact and basing on production. And I felt like that Todd really did an excellent job of articulating to all the media that really wanted to have his thoughts on what was going on, which I will take credit for this, saying that Todd Monken, Jim, whoever the coordinator is going to make the call, and the head coach can certainly overturn that if he wants to. But that's why you have coaches that work with it, and that's why you pay them the big bucks. So Kirby's taking a lot of grief on all this, but the bottom line is we're in a national championship hunt for the second 6 years, which we've never been since 1980. So maybe these coaches know more than what some of the people think. So let's listen to Todd Monken articulate very gracefully, when people are trying to make their own case about things, why he did what he did.
I think Stetson, at times, I'm talking about me, have probably undervalued his skill set. We've tried to elevate guys that have talent on our roster, and we do that at every position. And some guys just combat that and fight and scratch and continue to play well and try to prove you wrong. And that's what Stetson Bennett did. And it wasn't really anything JT did. It was more along the lines of what Stetson did that we thought gave us the best chance to win. His ability, his mobility, his ability, those things in the run game and in the pass game when things break down, we believe give us the best chance to win. There's really nothing that JT did. And It just happened where Stetson got an opportunity, took advantage of that opportunity. We continued to win. It never really ended up flipping the other way. I can't say that because they're really talented players. Carson Beck's a talented player. Brock Vandergrift's a talented player. Sometimes opportunity leads to, things that end up going in your direction. I don't know if I said that exactly right, but it never went back the other way where JT got a chance to get in there. And so it's just the way it is, and we believe that he gives us the best chance to win in a couple of those things of what I've said.
Coach, when I heard that, my first thought was, what do you mean he didn't get a chance to get back in there? But he was asked specifically about that later on in the press conference. He said, look, yeah, we have competition, for all the positions, for offense, offensive, the running backs, they fight for carries, the wide receivers fight for carries, the quarterbacks fight for the same thing, for the playing time. And so he clarified it later on, but he's basically saying that, everyone wanted to know why JT Daniels didn't take back over when he was healthy. And he basically said, look, we undervalued Stetson Bennett. We did, we had him kind of pigeonholed as this level of talent. We evaluate all the guys. He said some guys fight back against that. And he said, it's not what JT did do, it's what Stetson did. Stetson came in, grabbed the spot, took the opportunity and ran with it and never looked back and never really – he kept the gap between he and JT Daniels from JT when he was unhealthy to Stetson healthy. He kept that gap even when JT came back. And I think that was as good an explanation as we've gotten about this. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, really, seriously, everybody wants the explanation, but, when you don't have the ability to talk to then everything, random thoughts, whatever it might be, you just have a lot of people having their opinion. So I think the closure here is he took the bull by the horns and he did everything necessary to help our team win, regardless of who the opponent was. He played well. He didn't have a great game against Alabama, that's for sure. Nobody really did. Brock Bowers maybe, but he did good enough to put us in a position to win. And Dayne did a great job of showing some stats, which I think, what was that you said in the two games we lost to Alabama? What was the defensive points that we gave up in the yards?
Well, I mean, it was 84 points and like 1,100 yards on defense given up total.
Yeah, you're not going to win with Tom Brady against that usually, but here's the point that I always try to talk to, and I mentioned it to a young coach here the other day. You can't really live in the past except to take what happened and make sure that you try to get it going the next time you get a chance. So fortunately for us, we've had a great season, won a lot of games, and we're still in the hunt. There's 4 teams left, and there's no need to dwell on that until after the season's over at this point. I'm excited about the game. I put the Pointer Sisters on this morning. I listened to it on YouTube. It jacks me up, and people say, hey, that's a song that jacks me up because that these kids deserve a chance to prove that they're a really good team and find a way to get into the final game. So hopefully we can put that to rest. But I think the big thing that I got from listening to Todd was when he first got here, and he told me this, he was thinking that he was going to go with that transfer, or maybe then he got another transfer in JT. So he had a kid from Wake Forest, and that's what he's looking at. So then that kid didn't make it through, and we didn't have spring practice. All they had was fall camp, and you can't work 4 guys in fall camp. So the pecking order, he let Dwan go out there. He was ahead of him because he did pretty good. I thought he had a really good fall camp, and then he kind of didn't work out, and then Stetson jumped in there. And then the same thing happened last year. Stetson got hurt. We played some lesser teams, and JT played good. He might have played good against us, but then he won the job, and then consequently, we came back with the same issue in the fall. JT got hurt, and Stetson was behind the 8 ball behind these other guys that were really, really, more suited to what Todd was trying to do. And then he realized we couldn't do it, so he knew he could win with Stetson, at least with what he did last year, and that's what he did. And, hey, let's go for it now. Let's defense. Let's cover some guys. Let's don't make mental errors. Let's don't give up gazillion yards. And let's see if our defense pressures the quarterback. I feel good about us going against Michigan. They're kind of like Kentucky, built like Kentucky, a running team with a fairly good quarterback, defense, big front, secondary, not all overwhelming. I look for us to gash these guys. I really think we'll get after their ass.
I want to bring up another clip from Todd Monken talking about Stetson Bennett, because one of the criticisms that we hear is, well, we've seen what Stetson's performance is against Alabama. He's done it twice, same score, same result, not looking at all the other variables. But here's what Todd Monken had to say about Stetson Bennett and can Georgia win a national championship with him.
If you look at the plays that he's made national championship plays. He has. You just turn on the film and look at some of the throws he makes, some of the decisions he makes, the things he does with his feet. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind we can win the national championship, and there's no doubt in my mind we can win it with Stetson Bennett. There's no question. We went into the championship game with Stetson Bennett, our quarterback, as a favorite over a team that hadn't been an underdog in 5 years. That ought to tell you a lot about our quarterback and how he played. And some reason we get into this stereotyping of players based on where they were at some point. Okay, at some point, be it one was a walk-on, one was a 5-star, one was whatever. If you just look at the production and what he's done for our football team, it's impressive. It's impressive.
I love what he said there, because it's really, I think, part of this discussion with these two the whole time is that there was a time where Stetson Bennett was a 2-star, where he was a walk-on at Georgia. There was a time where JT Daniels was a 5-star out of California that everybody wanted. And guess what? They ended up at the same spot. And it really doesn't say much other than Stetson Bennett has really, really elevated his game in his time in college football. Not saying that JT Daniels hasn't, but all that's happened is that Stetson Bennett, as you said, Coach, and as Todd Monken said, saw the opportunity, and once he got that opportunity, really seized upon it, and he's played well since.
I think if you didn't have that quote, I was going to read it. I was actually pulling it up on the phone on my laptop here, because this is the people will sometimes say, you're defending Stetson Bennett. I'm like, I'm not defending Stetson Bennett. I'm just trying to say, I've spoken to people inside the program. We're the outlet that broke the news that Stetson Bennett was going to start when everyone said it was going to be Carson Beck. We got that right because we talked to people inside the program. Then we asked them, of course, why? And they said, well, he's good. And we're like, yeah, but that's, he lost to Florida last year. He lost to Alabama last year, and they said, well, so did the defense. And so, in other words, I've always pointed out that, he lost tough games, but then the defense didn't play well either. And yes, JT Daniels is 7-0 as a starter at Georgia, but he's also beat some really weak teams. Point being, I've always said, look, just hold both guys to the same level, the same, if you're going to discount, if you're only going to look at the bad games and only look at the good games, treat them both the same way. And I think that Todd Monken hit it right there. We said, look, we get locked into stereotyping these guys. One was a walk-on, one was a 5-star. And what I see all the time with these two questions, Coach, I see, why are we starting a walk-on over a 5-star? And I think Dayne just explained very much there.
On scholarship.
Yeah, I know, but it's the stereotype. He's still in people's minds. He is a walk-on, and this guy's a 5-star. So there's everything they say.
That's
why
true,
wasn't he the starter coming into the season if he's so much better? And I keep saying, look, it's not that he was light years better. It's that, as Todd Monken said in the press conference, we undervalued him. We had
you got that. I mean, we got it. That's right. That's it.
He said some guys outplayed our perception of him, and he did. I think
when he got his chance, he showed what his ability was. He made dramatic improvement. He was doing good as far. But here's the thing that I want to say to all the people on the dog vent. As an ex-coach that put a lot of time in here, that Coach Kirby Smart, that, hey, I'm going to tell you these 3 words. Are you coachable? You know what that means? When the coach says something, you don't have a barrier, you don't have anything in your mind. You're going to do what the coach says because he's in charge until somebody else is coaching. So if you're coachable and he says run 1040s, you run 1040. If he says do this, you do that. There's no barriers. Those kids believe in Kirby. They believe in Monken. And by God, our people out here need to believe in him until.
I think we lost him.
I think we lost his internet there for a second. We'll get Coach back in here when internet comes back up. I'm going to remove him from here.
He's right. He does.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Internet broke down, Coach, a little bit.
Well,
in the middle
everybody
of
got pissed because I said, "Are you coachable?" And they cut me off.
That's
a good point, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Hey, that's the number one thing they said about Eric Stokes. Again, here's a guy who came in at the very last second. Jordan Davis, a 4-star guy. A lot of people had him as a 3-star. We had him as a 4-star. And everyone crows about an Eric Stokes who comes in as a 3-star track guy who hardly played any cornerback at all, is a first-round draft pick and is killing it for the Packers because he was coachable. Everybody that talked about it said this guy takes coaching. Mel Tucker said it. I forgot. Somebody else was talking about how coachable he was. Charles Warren spoke about how coachable he is. He just takes it. He's like a sponge and soaked it up. And that's not to say that the quarterbacks aren't, but we get really excited when a guy who may have been undervalued performs bigger than he is. Now, sure, you can hit a limitation. There may be a limitation with Stetson Bennett. He has not fared well in some of those big games. But go back to the first thing that Todd Monken said when asked about why are you starting Stetson Bennett over JT Daniels. He said the same thing Kirby Smart says. He says he gives us a better chance to win. It may be 51-49. It's not night and day difference, but for what they need to do, and especially against a team like Michigan coming up with their pass rushers, maybe that mobility and that ability to scramble, run those bootlegs, run those naked boots, run those RPOs, run those design quarterback runs if necessary. Maybe that guy gives you a slightly better chance to win, and therefore he is your guy. So, again, I'm not trying to defend one way or the other. I don't care. I'm just saying if you look at it, if you talk to people inside the program, as you said, Coach, they believe in him. The players believe in him. The coaches believe in him. The coaches they're not trying to do this for a storyline. They're trying to do it to win the damn game. So, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox there. Just
well, last thing, I want to get to a clip of quick, the last one we have of Stetson Bennett talking about some of this. And look, when it comes to being a quarterback at Georgia, there's a lot of stuff away from the football field that gets really tough to deal with for someone that's young at that age with that level of they're recognized everywhere. They're scrutinized everywhere. For Bennett in particular, I mean, this is a kid that grew up going to Georgia games, and so there's a lot of negative around the moment that should be some of the most positive memories he'll have in his whole life. And the same for JT Daniels on the other end of this. So the question comes to Stetson Bennett, how are you handling all that comes with these discussions? Has happened for months and months and months and months of people saying you're not good enough, you're yada, yada, yada. The stuff that we've seen on the dog vent, we've seen on Twitter. How is the actual quarterback in these games handling it?
You can't put any value on people who really have no clue what they're talking about talking. I wouldn't listen to myself if I was giving a speech on heart surgery. Not comparing football to heart surgery, but it's the same kind of gist. So why would I listen to somebody who doesn't do this for a living and just watches it happen? It really doesn't bother me. It's a bit frustrating sometimes, I guess. But like I said, I don't have social media. I don't, so I don't wallow in it. I don't sit in it. I don't think about it. All I'm thinking about is beating Michigan and being the best quarterback I can be for my team.
And Coach, I think you're a quarterback guy. You know what goes into that position, the psychology of it. I think you have to like at least that mindset that he's talking about, that I'm not trying to pay attention to all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't, but there's other people that probably tell him. But if all the players feel good about him, and I would say some of them maybe no, there's always going to be a few guys that have their favorites, but it's just ridiculous to think that Kirby, like somebody wrote that Kirby plays him because he's a walk-on, and Kirby, wanted to prove to him that he could make it. I mean, he's playing the best guy. Monken's playing the best guy. I mean, what do we need to do? Get a lie detector tests in here now? I mean, let's go on and enjoy this 35 minutes here. I mean, we're putting this in the graveyard here. Let's put it in the graveyard.
Well, then let's move on to some Georgia and Michigan talk. But before we get to that, Roddy, why don't you tell us about some of the folks who make this show possible?
Well, I was going to mention our friends over at Dead Soxy. Let me pull up their site here real quick. They want to mention the deal they have going on over there. You get 20, 30, 40% off of their quality socks. So if you did not get socks for Christmas, or if you still have yet to enjoy a Christmas or a holiday get together with family and you still need a present or two, swing by our friends at Dead Soxy. They will take care of you. They have fantastic items for the Georgia fan in your life, or also if they're an LSU fan or an Ole Miss fan or an Alabama fan, they got you covered there as well. If you need the no-show socks that I would like to wear, they have them. They have dress socks for, if you need to be fancy, if you just want to be stylish, they got that as well. And I'm going to pull up the college ones here. They're also working with our friends over at the 7-6. They do great stuff with them as well. So true stay technology with their socks. They don't fall down. They have all the Georgia designs. So you're going to look good. And again, they started with us. Georgia went 12-0. I'm not saying it's cause and effect, but you can't discount it at all. So I appreciate that. Also want to mention our friends over at the Academy Brewing Company. That's going to be a great place to watch the game this coming Friday night. They have a watch party going on. It's a New Year's Eve watch party. It's $25. If you go out there, you get access to their private room where they'll be playing the game on their giant projector. They have dinner for you. They have a pint of beer, and they'll let you even keep the glass when you're done. So you're going to get food, beer, the game, a great New Year's Eve watch party. It's all for $25 out at Academy Brewing Company. Jump on that. Check out their bus that they've souped up out there when you get a chance. It is a fantastic bus. So they sent me a clip of that the other day. It's just a riot. So check out our friends at Academy Brewing Company. Get a lot of great beers on New Year's Eve. Watch Georgia beat Michigan and have a great time with great food and great fun out there on the west side of Athens if you get a chance.
All right, Coach, let's start our look at Michigan. And for me, when we looked at Michigan, or what Georgia's offense might have to do against Michigan, it all starts with Aiden Hutchinson and him being an edge rusher. So let's start on Michigan's defense, what you've seen from them throughout this season and what Georgia can exploit.
Well, they do a really good job of pressuring you. Both he and the other guy on the other side are both people that, you're going to have to set up to contain them and make sure that they don't disrupt your running game and passing game, but have capabilities of doing that. Well, we did a good job against Anderson for the most part in the championship game. That he didn't make a lot of plays behind the line. So avoid low yardage plays. Take care of the ball. You listen to Todd talk about non-turnovers, although he can always point out times when we weren't, But I really think that they're going to have a hard time matching up with Bowers, with their secondary, with the same thing that everybody has trouble with, Cook out of the backfield. And just go in there and play your normal game. And we got a lot of weapons. And then, of course, having the fact that George Pickens is going to be available, there's a lot to be said about it. You hate that a guy got COVID, but at the same time, he wasn't out there taking a chance of hurting his knee. That was like 5 or 6 days. He didn't have to work out. So he'll be in good shape. We got 20 reps in the championship game. I look for him to get more in this one. And that'll really take a lot of pressure off the other receivers. So one of my neighbors when I was today told me that Radi had Radi said we were going to have everybody on our 2D plan. So I'm glad to hear that from you, Radi. I didn't know that, but as long as we got our top 44 out there,
just read our site. Damn,
I can't get on it. I can't afford it.
We'll have to send him the next holiday deal.
I know you're a busy man. I got it.
No, it's pretty good though. I mean, I got people telling me I don't like to read that bullshit, but I mean, not true stuff. But I just don't. Every time I cut on, somebody's griping about when you let me log on. But here's the thing: I just feel like our defense has got to be showtime. We got to get back and get pressure and play more aggressive. We played very passive, worrying about those two receivers, which we should have, but that we don't have the people. We'll see a situation where I think maybe Breeny will come back in there and play the power star guy and not worry so much and be really good on the run. And hopefully Chris Smith is full speed too. That that'll help us back there in the secondary too. But in the big games, I've always felt like this. When you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's got to play like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I mean? The same thing's true for our players. Our stars have to come out, like that song, There's a Moon Out Tonight. There's got to be some stars out tonight. That Jordan Davis destroys the center, Nakobe Dean in open space. I mean, we got to have our big-time players play big time and have a good kicking game, and we'll be all right. They got a good kicking game. But, the bottom line is this team came out of nowhere. Michigan, they weren't even right when the season started. Everybody's talking about Harbaugh. This is his last year. He took a big cut in salary just to have one more year. They changed their whole staff. They have a tremendous coaching job, but they don't have the veteran coaches that we do. I like the matchup coaching-wise, offense versus defense, defense versus offense, special teams. That's why we're favored, and I think we'll play really well.
Brent Rollins and I did a film don't lie analysis on Michigan's offense. Looked at 4 games, including Ohio State, including a little bit of Iowa, some Penn State. I think Michigan State as well, because obviously Michigan State's defense is going to be most like what Georgia's going to throw at them with Mel Tucker. A couple things that we noticed that I want people to know about. One, when Michigan brings a man in motion, most teams send them out either for a flare pass or just to see zone or man. Michigan uses those motion men as blockers at the line of scrimmage, sometimes between the tackles. So when you start seeing, usually it's like a tight end or an H-back, kind of move to the middle in motion, that's going to be a blocker 99% of the time, at least as we saw it. Other than that, you can look for about 2 flea flickers a game. This was a common thing that Michigan did. They've got 3 talented running backs, and they will toss back for a deep shot. Literally, it happened in 3 of the 4 games that we looked at, and a couple of those twice. So Michigan's going to take shots down the field. Michigan's going to try to do the bully ball thing, but this is not a one-dimensional team, at least from what we saw. And the quarterback play at Michigan has improved each game of the year to the point that Ohio State really couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
Coach, how do you counter that when they're coming in with that guy in motion? All of a sudden, you got that extra blocker right there between, in your B gap, and he's going to go pick somebody up.
Well, one of the things you do on that is have some predetermined calls where you'll slant your front. That way, you can give an either or call based on the way he goes and try to outflank the person at the point of attack, or you can just crash your outside guys and try to get him before he turns up. We got several times this year where our man in motion didn't take crashing in, so. You can either make a move or you can slant them, or you can just play head up and just knock them back, which we do a pretty good job with Carter and Wyatt and Walker. They all do a good job of what we call controlling their gaps. But their offensive line got the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in the country. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. But I just
so
think
how good are they?
I think it's really important to recognize, though, that we're talking about Big Ten. Like Allen Iverson said, we're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We're talking about Big Ten. We're talking about Big Ten. I mean, that's the way I want to give that emphasis here. I like our chances. I really do. Everybody can bust me, but I would be shocked if we don't beat these guys. I'll be very disappointed. I was worried about Alabama. I told you, Radi, off there. Yeah. I was worried about who we were trying to play too much man. But hey, sometimes you do that. That's you go for it and it didn't work out. So, but I'm James Brown on this game. I feel good.
Radi, you ask about the offensive line at Michigan. From what we saw, better on the interior, a little shaky on the edge. So I would say Nolan Smith in this game has quite the opportunity.
And you wonder how much and I think we saw in the Alabama game partly how much missing Adam Anderson hurts you, especially, for a guy who could also play that star role and who was just that elite pass rusher.
Huge.
But
huge.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably your, first guy taken on in your draft, and he's not there, and he's not going to be there the rest of the way. And that's big for Georgia. But when I hear about how great this team runs the ball, and again, I just don't understand. I don't know the transit property. I mean, it sounds like they can't be stopped. They lost one game to Mel Tucker's Michigan State squad, and the team that I was worried about most in the entire playoff potentialities was Ohio State, and they beat them. And I'm like, wow. So this is a team that can really run it and just shove it down your throats. And Georgia hasn't faced an offensive line this good or a pair of running backs like this. But again, as you say, Coach, they're good in the Big Ten. How good are they? What do they compare to the SEC? So I guess that was my question, Dayne, was they sound great, but how good are they really? Are they really unbeatable? I just didn't know.
Ohio State's defense, so all year was the real stickler for them. It was terrible. And they gave up over 300 yards rushing to Michigan. We're not going to give up that kind of rushing yards to anybody. We just got to play our game. It gets back to Socrates. Know thyself, man. Get in there and use your stuff.
How much communication with Mel Tucker do y'all think is happening right now? I mean, I think Nolan Smith said he's been texting with him a little bit, in preparation for this game.
Yeah,
I just wonder as a whole.
Good point. Jay Johnson, I'm sure, was here, and he could talk about what they did against them. I thought they did a really good job. I watched the tape of that game. They used a lot of tempo on Michigan. I mean, they got lined up quickly, and sometimes when you have a new defensive staff or new team, your ability to communicate. And I think this McCoy guy's done a good job. But the point is, going tempo hurt Michigan in that game. And then the running back, good Lord, I mean, he ran up and down the field on the game. It was impressive. But here's the other thing that's going to happen that you see it all around. The games are getting canceled, and got a kid from Ohio State's out there at the Rose Bowl and decided he's not going to play today. I mean, he's been practicing, but hey, I'm going pro. You just never know some of these games.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Hutchinson's probably going to declare tomorrow he's going to not. So
we could always hope. Coach, how do you think that Mike Macdonald is going to attack Georgia's offense? Mike Macdonald, former Georgia defensive analyst, great guy. Knew him when he was here. Saw when he was up in Baltimore. Has come on like gangbusters for them. Did Alabama show you how to beat Georgia's offense? Is there anything he can duplicate?
Well, the thing that Alabama did so good kept us off the field, their offense, and then got ahead where we didn't have the threat of the run. That's what you need to do. I mean, we're not a good come from behind team as far as just pure passing, show pass. I'd like to see, like you said, a little bit more movement with our passing game. That's what Stetson does best, but he does play under center and creates a lot of good play action, which I think we can get after their safeties. I really think their safeties are good players, but that's what I mentioned. Bowers, I mean, I don't care who they got. I mean, Bowers is the real deal. And what's impressive here is just the who's who of guys that were here at Georgia. The Jets coach was a GA here. And this guy was here. They've done well, and they got trained well here at Georgia. So a lot of guys around the league have gotten their ability to get coaching by coaching here at Georgia, whether it be under Coach Rick or me or whoever it might be.
I wonder how much we heard that practice has been very spirited this week. The guys are really getting after it. They have a point to prove. The defensive guys came out and said, we kind of need to reclaim our mantle, if you will. They were a little humbled by the way that the Alabama game went down. Is there an extra emphasis right now on, hey, that Alabama game's left a bad taste in our mouth for almost literally a month? You got to wonder how fired up these guys are, Coach.
Yeah, I think that's a real good starting point, but they're good point. Like I say, you got to forget that game and get back to your fundamentals. I think what Kirby always does when you get ready for a bowl game or a championship game is you've been awful and you just try to get I mean, I'm talking about you taking off a few days for exams or whatever it might be, but then you come back and you just kind of go against each other for 4 or 5 days trying to get your football genes going, so to speak, and then you start putting the emphasis on your opponent. So, but the bad thing for our team is if you're on the offense, you're going against our defense every day, which is hammer and tong, and they're mad anyhow about Alabama. So it had to be good for the defense, but the offense is challenged too. You know, like you hear a guy like Warren McClendon talk about, hey, I go against these guys every day, you know, or like Van Pran going against the center, you know, going against Davis. But and, you know, somebody said something about Van Pran had a cast on his hand. He's had a cast on his hand since he was born, I think. He's had one on his hand for 2 months out there, and it hasn't affected him at all. So he'll be okay in this game. But just a lot of people looking for stuff. But the other thing that's good is, which I was excited about the couple of days that I went over there, was watching some of these younger guys get some reps after the varsity, so to speak, had worked out. They stayed out there kind of like a spring practice. And you see some of these young guys, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, athletically, to see the guys running around, which I love to see how they've developed from their first being there to now, you know, like coming in as a young pup, and now they've had a whole year on the scout team, and now they're starting to really look like the kind of player you thought they'd be. And the other thing is just make my mouth water, I gotta say. Look at some of these guys like Mykel Williams.
Mykel Williams,
Yeah.
5-star defensive end.
Yeah. I can say this now because he's already here, but the day that they were there for practice, when they were still getting recruited, him and the guy from Miami that committed to us, that it's not here, were there, and we talked and everything. I give him those, hey, I was Kirby's coach. I'm looking forward to coming up here, all that stuff, which I was true about. I said, these guys are going to treat you right. And, you know, I was recruiting the heck out of them over there on the sideline. But I took a picture with those two, and I sent it to you, Roddy, because I know you can't put it out. But it was, you know, and I'm fairly tall. I mean, I'm not a midget. But these guys, I mean, come on. They look better.
You look like one in that picture, though. There you go.
Seriously, they look better than anybody we got at defensive end right now. Both of those guys. Nola Smith's a good-looking kid. I mean, they look like Anderson, but filled out. Both of them. And made me really excited. And then Kirby, I told him that both those guys were going to come, and he said he figured that anyhow. But I just said, hey, you got the nod of approval from your old coach. But it was fun talking to those guys. And then the kid, and I'm telling you stuff on this show that you'd never hear. I talked to that kid from Chubb School. What's his name? AJ, the linebacker and running back. I mean, he looks like Nick
Cedric Washington.
Yeah, he looks like Nick Chubb again, but a lot more. You know, Nick was very reserved. This kid, he was over there watching the drills and simulating them and everything. I said, look, you're going to be able to do that here in a couple of days. He said, I can't wait, Coach, but I'm on my official visit, but I'll be here next week. And you just take him and that kid from Salisbury, Walker, those two kids. I mean, our linebackers are outstanding. Nakobe Dean, I mean, he won the Buckets Award. But both these guys, Nakobe looked small compared to them. I mean, they're – so those four guys right now are coming in on our defense, along with the ones that I met when they were here and I was eating lunch over there and saw them. I mean, I can relate to that as compared to watching a little deal up there, a 5-star or profile. But the one thing I can say as an old coach, you can look in a kid's eye and see what kind of guy he is. Like Channing Tindall when he was here, or Davis. They got that gleam in their eye. They want to be a Bulldog. Or wherever you're coaching, they want to be a Sooner, or they want to be on the Thunder. That means a lot too. Every one of those kids can't wait to play for Georgia. And and I can't wait to see them too, because they look better on the hoof than the guys we got out there.
which is impressive considering they're
the
high school freshmen, high school seniors
in the country, and these guys look better at linebacker and defensive end than the guys we got lined up out there.
Now, if you just get those same guys to show up in the before signing day, they just add maybe another safety, maybe add another wide receiver. You have it. Gunnar Stockton will be in Athens soon if he's not there already. We mentioned he and Oscar Delp, and
Delp looked good too. I mean, he looked like to me like Todd Hartley said one thing about Delp, and I said, "What's that?" He said, "He acts like he belongs here," and which that means a lot. A kid just jumps in there and not worried about. But they can't play in the game, but that's a real good thing to have those kids come by and work out and get the cobwebs out and understand what the standards are. I mean, we got a high standard of practice here. I mean, I would have probably quit if I had to practice like that when I was playing.
They also had Malachi Starks out there, coach, the true athletes. Just one of the best athletes we've seen in a long time, and Denylon Morissette, the wide receiver.
He's playing in a bowl game under assumed name.
We'll absolutely take it. We'll take that any minute.
Radi, I know you're pulling up, another sponsor shout out, but I wanted to quickly answer a question that you posed a second ago about just Georgia being ready to get on a field, ready to avenge the loss against Alabama. You can't beat Alabama in the Orange Bowl. That is not possible.
No.
But Georgia can beat Georgia in the Orange Bowl. If Georgia doesn't play well enough, Michigan is a good enough team to win that game. And so if you try too hard to beat Alabama, you may not get the chance to do it. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that, that there was questions. If you based the approach to this game on the mood of the fan base, which I'm not saying you would, but it's just a lot of fatalism out there.
You do, Mr. Negative.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of people they're just like, this, it's all over. And I'm thinking, I'm not getting that vibe from the team. We're hearing that they're pretty anxious and pretty excited. And these players are saying, look, we want to redeem ourselves. So, again, that doesn't get you an automatic first down. It doesn't give you the ball. It doesn't change possession.
Here's the thing, man.
Know they're going after it.
Cincinnati.
Internet cliffhanger.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, hang on to that thought. We'll bring.
It's not.
Coach, restart at Cincinnati. You buffered, Coach. So restart Cincinnati. Go.
Well, they got 8. 8's not playing. He's not going to play.
Mitchie for Alabama is not in that game.
They got 2 corners. We saw what those corners could do last year prior to our game, and I don't think either one of them played in the game, did they? I mean, one of them was hurt, and another one, I don't know. But they got guys a high draft choice, so it's going to be interesting. They rush the passer well, and their quarterback is very good. I think they'll play them tough.
I'll take a rematch of the Peach Bowl from last year for the national title. That sounds fun to me.
Well, the other thing with Georgia fans complaining right now, as we're recording this, Auburn is losing to Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. And no, but Georgia fans that are complaining and finding things to complain about probably ought to kind of take a step back and say there's about 140 other college football teams that'd love to be in this spot that Georgia's in right now.
It's great to be a Florida Gator. No, it's not.
Oh, losing to UCF. Wow.
They're going to lead the nation in transfer portal. I can tell you that.
But the Schneiden-Freude of that only goes so far, because you can point out how bad Florida lost to UCF. You can point out Auburn losing, and then that Auburn fan in your office goes 1980, and Georgia fans lose their damn mind. So I get it. I'm with the Georgia people in this one. It doesn't matter that the other teams suck. Your team has to win the title. I get that, and that comes Friday evening. So hopefully we'll see them tear through Michigan, get back on track, get back to their winning ways. This team had one really bad hiccup, but remember going into that last game, they were 12-0, and they got there for a reason. That defense put them there, and that defense should show up Friday night. So let's see what Michigan's vaunted offense and offensive running game can do against the best part of Georgia's defense, which is stopping the run. So we're going to have quite the battle there.
A game that you can watch with us on our YouTube channel, the UGA Sports Watch Along Show with Jim Donnan, where you sync it up with your second screen experience so you can get our commentary live during the game if you don't want to hear the announcers, who I believe in this game, it's Fowler and Herb Street. So nice guys, but they don't follow Georgia every day like we do.
Yeah, they've done our shows in the past, but do want to point out our friends, if you're looking for a good vehicle to pick up and you need want to start off the new year with a new ride, check out our friends at Athens Ford. They have almost 350 vehicles, more than that, on the lot. I know there are if you go around the state, if you go around Northeast Georgia and you're trying to find vehicles, there are a lot of dealerships that they don't have any. It's tough to find vehicles. Our friends out at Athens Ford have plenty of them. They have new ones, they have pre-owned vehicles, and basically all their new ones and the vast majority of their pre-owned ones are going to come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. You can't get that anywhere else. So you're going to get a great vehicle that's reliable at a really low price. Our friends at Athens Ford are going to take care of you. You're going to get great customer service. And if you just need service on your current vehicle, hit them up out there. They will take care of it. They will do brake work, tires, oil, any engine problems you have on any of your vehicles. The folks out of Athens Ford will take care of you. They're also big in the community. We need to go out to see the lights display out of the Georgia Botanical Gardens. They are sponsoring that. They also gave out 140 new bicycles to the Athens area kids in need. So check out the friends out at Athens Ford. They are going to take care of you and do a great job of making you a customer for life. I guarantee you try them once, you will never want to go anywhere else. I also want to mention our friends at Your Pie. I know that if anybody's going to be watching this game just with rabid intensity, it'll be Drew and Natalie French, the founders of Your Pie. Drew has tons of franchise opportunities. So if you want a great business, you're like, hey, it's the new year. I want to do something new. I'm tired of my job. Hey, reach out to Your Pie about a franchise opportunity. They take off. They make you a ton of money. I know a guy that's got 2 of them. He was already well-to-do to begin with. Now he's ridiculously rich, and I hate his guts, even though he's a friend of mine. But when you get a chance, if you don't want to start a new franchise, don't want to start a new business, try our friends at Your Pie. They will take care of you when it comes to your New Year's Eve bowl watching food needs, your catering needs. They can take care of it. So hit up our friends. Hey, if you do it today on Tuesday, it's double points today. So use the app and get a great deal from our friends at Your Pie.
Yeah, I want to just throw in something there for Your Pie too, because every once in a while I'll just I won't get something to go. I'll actually go in and sit down and just I sent Drew a text last night. I was just impressed with the whole congeniality of the young people working in there. They really seemed like they loved their job, and they were very, very much concerned about service oriented. But everybody knows how good the pizza is. You just pick out what you want. If it's not what you want, they'll find a way to make it look like it. And it's just when you go in there or you get something to go, you're always going to get the best shot. And that's what I like. I mean, hey, consistency and just a tremendous sense of wanting to please the customer, which I can tell you, if I wasn't pleased, I wouldn't have said what I just said.
No.
Let's get to some of the comments from Facebook and YouTube. If you have questions before we wrap up on this show in the last 10 or 15 minutes here, please let us know. This from Robert Moody. Says he'll be watching with us on Friday with the UGA Sports Watch Along show. Says he likes the Film Don't Lie breakdown. Says that Georgia will beat Michigan, but Alabama will be tough because Nick Saban is the evil genius now. Here is a question from Greg Hendricks. Hey, Coach, do you think Georgia will use a lot of screen passes with Michigan rushing the edge a lot?
Yeah, I mean, so we're not a big pure screen team. We do throw some balls behind the line, but you got to do some stuff to control them by putting guys in motion or, influencing them or something. We've got to do a really good job of, as I talked in the get-go here, of knowing who these rushers are and having somebody assigned to them. But at the same time, they got to play, too, against some good blockers. I mean, Salyer looked good in the bowl game. I mean, the first game, and we got some other guys coming up here that'll do a good job. And McClendon had a good game too in a lot of ways. So we'll be okay against these guys. I mean, it's like anything; they're going to make a few plays, but you just got to control the ones that they do.
What are you worried about, Radi? Because I see it on your face a little bit. Like you said before Alabama game, you had that feeling, that Munsonitis. What are you worried about with Michigan?
When we walked into the watch along, what's the first thing I said to you?
I said I don't feel good about this for Georgia.
I said Georgia's going to lose this game. Because everything was going, everyone's talking about how much Georgia was going to win, how much they were going to win by, and all the narratives were that way. And that's all Alabama heard for a week. And they were playing for their postseason life, where Georgia had a mulligan. The Georgia could lose that game, it didn't matter. And Alabama played like it, and Georgia played like it. So going into this one, what I'm worried about is just my complete unfamiliarity with Michigan. I mean, I've watched your breakdowns, and you guys point out a lot of stuff. I just don't know. Is a fantastic offensive line in the Big Ten, how does that match up with a Jordan Davis? How does that match up with a Jalen Carter? You know, and normally I would think they don't stand a chance, but then Alabama's offensive line we were told wasn't going to stand a chance, and shit, they did pretty good. So my Munsonitis is based on complete unfamiliarity. That's why I'm so excited to do the show with Coach today. I'm like, Coach, tell me what's going on. I don't know. And when he says he feels good, he's been right 99.9% of the time. So I feel a lot better after hearing Coach talk about, hey, this is Big Ten.
We're talking about Big Ten. We're talking about Big Ten.
That's what I'm saying. I feel a lot better now. So my Munsonitis has lifted a bit. And again, I do think that it's a situation where Nakobe Dean has pride. Jalen Carter has pride. Latavius Brini has pride. Lewis Seen, pride. They got torched for 500 plus yards and 40 points. And they're going to take that out on somebody, just like, Alabama was going to take that SEC championship game, all the doubt on them. These guys want a rematch.
Here's a couple of things that helped Alabama, though. They're not playing on the road in that game. The crowd noise that affected them in the Auburn game was huge because they got the edge rush, speed rush. They changed a lot of their protections to more zone to take away our twist. They backed their line up off the ball a little bit so they could set better. And, they got some big plays on our bust. I mean, without even doing anything. I mean, you got 3 busts where nobody's covering the guy. So, and you count the fact that they got the Heisman Trophy winner playing quarterback. So,
who played out of his mind, absolutely.
Well, and it looked like Georgia's defensive line was concerned that Bryce Young scrambling or at least extending plays to the point you had, defensive tackles standing up, playing kind of a faux spy. You're not going to see that against Michigan because that is not a threat for Michigan as a running quarterback. At least, I mean, they play 2 guys. The primary one is not going to be a threat there. Michigan is going to rotate 3 running backs, and they're all pretty good. Michigan can run the ball. But what I think, a lot of people are branding this as like, oh, Georgia, hard-nosed running team, and Michigan, hard-nosed running team. What happens when they clash? I would not be surprised if Georgia comes and throws it around the yard. I really would not be surprised by that at all.
You can on their safeties. I mean, that's the way it goes. Well, we got any more questions here?
Mostly about quarterback stuff, and frankly, we discussed all of it. So.
I do want to touch on one of the things in here. There's a lot of, and I see some of these in the chat, and I'm not going to give them the light of day. There's some ridiculously stupid-ass theories and conspiracy theories about JT Daniels taking Kirby off, or there being an issue with the family and the parents being involved and stuff like that. And I'm just here to tell you, folks, it comes down to X's and O's, and why I've been so adamant about, again, I've been accused of giving Kirby a pass so that we don't get our credentials taken away. Kirby can't take away our credentials. It won't happen. It doesn't matter. We break bad news. We broke the bad news about JT Daniels and George Pickens tested positive for COVID. We break bad news about arrests. We break bad news all the damn time. We're known as a site who breaks news. We're not covering for anybody in this. And if there were,
I said Kirby. I mean, I said I thought we played too much man in the game. So hey, that's
you call it like you see it, and
you didn't call me out for it.
No, I'm just saying if there were some nefarious situation that had happened between JT Daniels and Kirby Smart or Todd Monken, we'd report it. But guess what? There's not one. They genuinely think, and I think Kirby has done himself a disservice by not letting Todd Monken speak more, because when Todd Monken gets out there, he articulates his decision making and the philosophy very well. He is going to be he's already been a head coach, but he's going to be a fantastic head coach somewhere. He's great with the media, and I think he helps people see what he sees. And I thought that he did a great job explaining what's going on. And it just comes down to the fact that, like he said, we misevaluated him. That was my bad. I didn't have enough time with him. And as you said, Coach, they're planning on playing Jimmy Newman. They were planning on playing this guy, and it just didn't work out. And he's going forward. He got out of his stereotype as well and said, this is the guy I'm sticking with. It wasn't any of these nefarious things you see in the group chat about trainers and ticking Kirby off. None of that happened. I'm sorry. I know it's a great Lifetime movie, but that's not reality. Reality is they like this guy slightly better, and that's who's going to be starting Friday. So if you see stuff out there about what really happened, what's behind the scenes, there isn't behind the scenes. There's a reason Jordan Davis is playing more than Zion Logue. They like him better.
I want to get to a couple comments here before we wrap. So this is Michael Eagle C. Says he has no idea, honestly, how Georgia and Michigan's going to be. They haven't played since the 60s, which I think is an important point. That, like,
1965,
yeah, but like this is a really cool college football thing. These are two of the most storied legacy programs in a while. So enjoy that too. Yeah. That like these teams don't get together very much, and so it's kind of cool when it does happen.
Love the playoffs.
From a strategy, Coach, I think you touched on this for a second. Bobby Alvester asked, does Brini play more this week at star with Michigan's run game?
Yeah, you would think he would. I'm sure they've been working some other guys in there to work on the pass coverage, which we can do with moving Smith down and putting Jackson back at safety too, like we did against Tennessee. But they don't present near the wide formations and all that stuff. I mean, you got to stop the run against Michigan. I mean, that's their bread and butter. They like play action passes off of it, but it's just not a team that's going to spread you out a lot. So I think Brady will be in his area code on that. I mean, he that's kind of in his niche to play the run and play the pass.
It's funny you say that. Mike McDonald said one of his concerns about Georgia was Georgia's running all the play action they run.
Yeah, I mean, we said that earlier in the show. Where were you? But
he was looking at that buffalo chicken salad.
Yeah, buffalo chicken salad. But I was like, he was adamant about that.
I need to get one job into you, Roddy. I mean,
I appreciate it.
You've been right so much, and you need to just quit. You got no other chance because you're going to be wrong.
Stop clock's right once a day at least.
Yeah.
Well, one point that I'll make just as I wrap on this. Two of the times I thought Georgia was most successful offensively against Alabama is when you just threw it up to let George Pickens make a play, and you threw it up and you let Darnell Washington make a play. If you combine those with all the times that Brock Bowers did, I think Georgia's got a really good chance here to be explosive offensively, which is what I think a lot of fans want to see. So use those weapons.
Yeah, and a healthy
I have a question about Darnell. Does he have a speed limit on his jersey? Like you can't throw it to him but once. That's the limit. Because is that in his contract? Coming here, hey, we throw you one a game, but I was just being facetious. But hopefully we can, we had Fitzpatrick on that little switch play very good off of. I think that's going to be a good formation for us, having three receivers and like that, three tight ends. We really look good doing that. And the thing about it, they're so worried about covering Bowers that they can't support the run, on that tight little bunch look, and then you run the ball with Cooker. I think a guy really is time for him to come back a little bit. The last couple of games, White hadn't been getting the ball quite as much, and I could see him jumping out in this game and getting some good power runs.
Amen. I agree. Well, with that, let's find out who your mouthwatering player of the game would be then, Coach.
My mouth-watering play of the game is Joe Stonecrab, because all those guys are down there eating Joe Stonecrab, sending me pictures of it, and it really chaps me because we went there 3 straight years at the Orange Bowl when I was at Oklahoma, and I got a lifetime deal there at Joe's because I went over there so many times. Mary was saying, hey, let's don't go to Joe's tonight. I said, we're going, It was unbelievable how many times we went over 3 years. But I mean, it's just a delicate little deal there. The thing we had too was we had Barry Switzer. When Barry walked in, they opened the floodgates. Man, we didn't have to worry about any kind of waiting time or anything. So it's bad down there. But my mouth watering is just the memories of playing in the Orange Bowl, the great way they treat you, the Julio Iglesias story that I told before when we were up in the hospitality suite the night before the game, and Julio was playing down in the big ballroom downstairs in the Fountain Blue, and our guide there, the guy that took care of us, said, "Hey, I got tickets for Julio. I got tickets for Julio." Kept saying it all, and finally Switzer said, "Hey, we're playing for the national freaking championship. We don't give a shit about Julio and places." So we had a good time down there. That was good, but unfortunately, they can't do a lot because of COVID. But I congratulate our staff and Ron Corson and all the docs, Kirby, the way he's worked. I mean, we've had very limited COVID when you look at some of these teams. So good job of taking care of your kids.
Yeah, and I'll touch back on that. We did report earlier today that as it stands today, we do not believe that anybody on Georgia's 2 deep will be out due to COVID, and the fact that it's everywhere. You got teams canceling games, out entire position groups, and you have games being canceled. The fact that you basically had 2 guys test positive, unreal.
Yeah,
and it hurts these teams.
I'm not sure about that now. If you're saying 2, but we could be more. But here's
there could be more. There's 2 that we know of.
But here's the deal. They got to go through one more test, and that's on. If you don't have symptoms, then it's just the unvaccinated guys, and we don't have many of those. So that's a good point. Good point. So, hey, I guess we'll have a show next week. Hopefully, getting ready for the national championship. But I would hope that people would watch our watch along show. It's going to be very good, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be the Boy Scout for you this week. Because my ass is prepared to tell you what's going to happen. I'm prepared.
I love it. Yeah, that's good because I never show up prepared at all. I just show up and start drinking. So that's what's good about being the boss. All right, folks. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We will see you for the watch along show this Friday. Dayne, what time we're going to start that off?
We usually start about 15 minutes before kickoff. Look at Twitter. We'll figure it out. I'm in New Orleans right now, man. Don't be trying to ask me questions.
Slacker. Anyway, shout out to our friends at Athens Ford for sponsoring the show. And, of course, Your Pie. Grab a pizza today or a sandwich or a salad when you get a chance. Our friends out at Academia Brewing Company, a great place to watch the game or to watch along with us if you want to do that as well. And, of course, our friends at Dead Soxy. Get those Christmas gifts, get those late gifts, get those New Year's gifts. Hell, look good for the new year. So grab you a set of the new Dead Soxy socks when you get a chance. And a shout out to Jason Simmons and the folks out there at Dead Soxy for fantastic sponsorship. We appreciate all them. For Dayne Young and Jim Donnan, I'm Radi Nabulsi. We will see you.